She did literally have me work. And when I was a little bit older, my father had me work too. But when the money started coming in, then I was saying to myself, okay, now the money's coming in and I can now have my toys. That's what I thought. Now, the problem is I still couldn't have my toys, even if it would make more money. And I didn't understand it. So now we move out to Long Island. Now, obviously, as a kid, I didn't realize that my parents were saving money so we could move out of the Bronx. How would I know that? Right? There's no way I can know that. But that's what was happening. So now I go down Long Island and I still don't get it. I want my new toys, still can't have it. So my mother puts me to actual work. I go get a job. I was working at 15, 16 years old. Then I started getting money now. And my mom started saying, okay, great. You can pay for some of your own stuff now. And all of a sudden, then I realized, oh, that's how money works. You don't just get money and it all goes into toys. Now, you may think that's funny. Ha ha, you were a kid. And that's kind of true. I was a kid, didn't get it. But we are actually seeing that now here in New York. What do I mean by that? New York City has had over 40,000 immigrants come to our city that we were nowhere ready for at all. I mean, close. And the city is struggling, spending over $2 billion to try to house and help these new immigrants. Now, to be clear, I am not against immigrants at all. I like immigrants. I hope many of them come. But I want us to be prepared for them. I want to control our border. I think we can have vibrant immigration and still control our border and still fix things. I think it can be done. We're not doing that. We could. Why do I bring this up? Because as this all comes piling in, and the immigrants now get hotels, the immigrants now get housing, there's a lot of New Yorkers saying, what about me? Where's my toys? Right? Where's my toys? I see you spending money. Where's my toys? You can spend money on the migrants coming. You can spend money on Ukraine war. You can spend money on all those things. Well, then where's my toys? Well, for most people, it's not even toys. It's just where's my food, right? It's where's my rent, right? It's not even that. But in theory, it's the same thing. In theory. So now, for some people who would say, crazy socialists, why do you think socialism's good? Oh, you people, you want to, us to pay for your schooling or give you debt relief. Well, yeah. When they see the money going all these other places, why not? They have a valid argument. They have a valid issue. Literally, if you can spend the money on all these things, why can't you spend it on me? It's like me as a kid. You're buying the car. Why can't you buy me the toys? Now, clearly, we have to fix all these things. But the problem is, as we bring migrants into New York City, which again, New York City clearly wants them. So, I mean, probably not as many, but clearly New York City wants migrants. Okay, I got it. But the answer isn't having an infrastructure, isn't having control over the border, isn't having control over immigration. The answer is screaming at the federal government for more money, screaming at the state government for more money. Or worse, now sending migrants to other cities that may not want them. By the way, Buffalo's about to get a whole bunch of migrants. Now, I hope Buffalo wants them. I actually don't know how Buffalo's feeling about that. The last time I saw the mayor was like, no. So I don't know. But my point is, if your city wants the migrants, good. Take them. That's amazing. I'm happy if you do. But what happens when you don't want them? Or worse, what happens when you don't have the financial resources to handle them? Or worse, what happens when you don't want them, don't have the financial resources, and don't even have the infrastructure to accept them? So now the citizens who are already there are now punished. That's the problem that we keep seeing. And because there is no answer for this, it just becomes you're anti-immigrant or you're pro-immigrant. That's it. Now we have a left-right paradigm that makes no sense. You only are either pro-immigrant or anti-immigrant. So you're either a crazy socialist who just wants people coming in, or I don't know, you're a bigot. That's it. In reality, we can make this work. And I've spoken about it so many times, and I'll speak about it again right now. Why in the world are we not putting 2 Ellis Islands on the borders of between us and New Mexico and Mexico? Why not? 2 run by 2 separate private companies, not government run, 2 separate private companies who are recruiting companies. Literally, it's a model that's being done right now. Literally, there are large companies right now who are recruiting companies. It's their job. They place people and get paid by the companies to place people all the time. That's the normal thing. They're making millions of dollars doing this. I'm sorry, billions of dollars doing this. So have 2 of them there, maybe one in Texas, maybe one in California, or whatever is the place. And if you want to legally migrate here to work, you go to one of the Ellis Islands. You just go. They will then quarantine you for whatever is the appropriate time. Is it 2 weeks or 30 days? Whatever's the number, they'll do it. And then you can go to any state that says they want you. Done. Or do it by city or by state. I don't mind. Hey, you're a city. You want them? Take them. Here, you pay us. Right now, some of you may not know this. If you're listening right now, you may not know this. The black market, right now in labor, hospitality industry, agriculture industry, farmers are spending millions upon millions of dollars to get workers illegally. 100% true. All over the place. Happening every single year in every single state. Well, stop. Get out of the black market. Do it legally. And now people can show up with a 2-year orange card to work and pay taxes and be legal. They can do that. All good. And even better though, you follow the 2-year rule. They have a check-in every 2 years, and they have to make sure they do not go on any form of public assistance. Don't go on public assistance, check in every 2 years, go work for every state and or city who wants you to take them. Now, my view, all states should take them. But that's my view. You can decide in your own state what you want. City you don't want them, don't take them. I think it's silly, you should. And why do I say that? If we really wanted to fix immigration, we would. The problem is, big business wants the migrants. Big business is going to win this battle. Big business wants the migrants, it's going to get them. So we can either put them in the black market, punish everybody, or bring it to the light, and everybody sees it. And now everybody's happy. Well, not everybody's happy. That's wrong. They're all satisfied. How about that? That's better. They're not happy. They're satisfied. And you might say, but Larry, what about like citizenship and such? If you want to do that, then you give the private company a way to make that happen. After 10 years, they take a test for a green card, or 15 years, they have to pass a test in English and they can apply for citizenship or whatever. I don't care. You create the rules that matter, but you do not have taxpayers pay for it. And you don't have them get in front of the line of anyone else who went through the regular migration process. It's a separate process. And the individual migrant pays for it. They do it all the time. They pay for migrant services everywhere. If you go to any city that has a huge migrant population, there are immigration lawyers on every other corner getting cash to go through the system. So instead of paying that lawyer to go through the system, you pay that lawyer to go through the Ellis Island private company. You pay the cash. We don't pay anything. It becomes legal. This could work. What are we doing now? We're putting them in hotels, dropping billions of dollars in the cities who don't want them, and the local people are suffering. It's the wrong answer. Is my answer correct? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Vic?
200-3182. That's 585-200-3182.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, not very good, but
Yes.
yeah, but hopefully you figured it out. So we have Keith on the line.
The Rochester Rifle Club has a
You're welcome.
indoor range in Brighton, New York. Shooting is with .22 caliber rifles, air guns, and pistols with reduced loads. We have leagues and open shooting times. For more information or for a membership application, go to our website at rochesterrifleclub.org. That's rochesterrifleclub.org.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. So happy that you are joining me for this afternoon. If you like this show, you can watch it. It's every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Please check it out. You can also follow us on WYSL Radio or on Sharpe Way. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the things. So I've been talking about immigration and cities taking it and how to not punish the local people. And I want to grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Keith from Rochester. Keith, how are you?
Speaking for all law-abiding Americans, under no situation do we want the illegals here. Let's call it loud and clear for what it is on that southern border. It's an invasion. If
It's a disaster.
I were the American president, there would be a wall on that border. How hypocritical is it for Biden and Nancy Pelosi that around their own homes they have walls? How many Americans know that in Biden's home in Delaware, taxpayer expense there on the beach, a wall has been built? Biden and everyone else who has facilitated the illegal immigration is up to the president to enforce it. Biden belongs in prison. His handlers, who's ever controlling him, anyone who helped the illegals, that's what they are. They're not immigrants. They're illegals. They belong in prison. For the American people to speak up, you mentioned Buffalo, which is a big Democratic stronghold and the hometown of idiot Governor Hochul. Once those illegals arrive in Buffalo, it'll be what they deserve. The answer to your question about how we fight it, everyone, the Democrats especially, have to go to their Democrat leaders, to call them that, and demand that southern border, the outrage in Buffalo, especially now the citizens of Buffalo will have something to properly concentrate on now that their precious Bills have lost and won't be going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, don't beat up the Bills.
They never were anyway. They're a soft
Don't
team.
beat the Bills up.
Yeah, they're
Keith,
a soft.
let me grab
ran,
a couple parts of what you said. Don't beat the Bills up. They tried. So my Giants lost too. So this is not a good weekend for New York State football at all. But I think I want to nuance what you said. Do I want the people who've come here in prison? I don't. And there's an important reason why. And that's intent. Right? If you own your home, now, let me go another way. Let's say you rent your home. I don't know if you own, but for the sake of argument, you rent your home. And I'm the owner of that home. And I tell people, as your landlord, they should come into the building. They should come into your house. I tell them that. They should come into your house. They should come into your building. I invite them. I let them tell their friends, come into your building, come into your house. I'm obviously violating your rights. Obviously, I'm doing something wrong. I'm the person who's immoral and unethical. The individuals who show up aren't. If I'm inviting them into your home and house and building, even though you rent it, I'm still telling them to come. The person who's wrong here isn't them. The person who's wrong here is me. And I don't want them in prison. You can put Biden in prison. I'm in. Put the leadership in prison. They are encouraging this. They haven't changed the laws for asylum. They haven't changed the laws. These people coming here, as long as they come here and say, I'm seeking asylum, officially by our national law, a federal law, they're not illegal. Now, once they don't show up, or once they get denied, which about 70% or so get denied, then they're illegal. But if they show up according to our laws and go, I'm being oppressed, that's not illegal. And that's our fault. To your point, we are opening the border. We're letting them in. We're not fighting them. We're inviting them. And when they get here, we give them jobs. So of everything you said, the part that I take issue with is making them the enemy. It is our fault. We are inviting them in. We've opened the border. To your point, we didn't build a wall. I don't want to put them in prison. We're the ones who have to take charge of this. Am I wrong on this, Keith?
If I were in charge, Biden and all who facilitated this would be in prison. If I were the American president, I would lead an armed brigade right into the company headquarters of the top people in the companies who are hiring the illegals. Even under Republicans, it was not enforced when these companies hired illegals.
100%.
The prisons
you are correct.
The prisons would be full with the leaders of these companies. I'm talking about the very top people who ran an individual company. They knowingly hired the illegals. The whole hierarchy in these companies would be in prison. They would go very quickly. They would not bound out. I, as the president, would do executive order. Biden did 41 on his first day in, overturning good Trump policy on the border and other things. We are in the debacle after 2 years of Biden. I want every Democrat, before I have to go here, every caller only gets so much time, every Democrat to look at the country in the last 2 years with the Biden administration has wrought upon all of us. No good thinking Dem can possibly like what Biden and his ilk have done to destroy our country. The Democrats have to go to their party leadership and demand change. In closing, if we all were out in the streets marching like they did during the Vietnam War, and I mean people across the entire political spectrum, if we demanded, if we were out there like they just were, 50,000, they gave us a number for a right to life, not to kill the unborn, etc. If we had 5 million, if we had 50 million Americans out in the streets marching against the illegal immigration, all borders would be shut down. We would have walls, and we would not have this. For the American people have gone soft, stupid, and insane. This is not the America that I know of. We have to go after the bad guys at the top. Biden should be in prison. Pelosi, all of them who did this should be behind. But I would send them down to Guantanamo. If I could do it, if I had godlike powers, Biden, the whole administration, all 9 million, how's this? All 9 million federal workers would be in Guantanamo if it were possible.
Wow. Okay. You want to arrest everybody. Look, Keith, if you're telling me that you want to put the elites in jail, I'm not going to argue with you. If you're telling me you want to put Dems only, I'm going to argue with you. To your point, Republicans also have done this. right? There have been on the border, as an average, Republicans have been better than Democrats. That's true. I will give Republicans that. They've been better than Democrats in general. However, they have not been good either. They've also been bad. Why? Because their donors, to your point, actually want these workers. They want to hire the illegal workers. They do. And I get it. If I was a big business, I'd probably want to hire them too, right? I probably would. I mean, I don't, but I assume I would if I were them. So here's our option. We try to find a president who is going to put them all in jail, to your point. But then how do we get that president when the only way to become president is to have those people support the campaigns? Don't think that's going to happen. The other option is...
Myself,
Go ahead.
I don't care about the donors. Trump was rich enough, but he still asked for money. But when you truly have your own means, you can go in and take care of business. Both parties are dirty. Mitch McConnell is bought by the Chinese commies. Both parties are a mere image. In closing, my fellow conservatives and Republicans should not look lightly upon our party. Our party is just as dirty and greasy as any corrupt Democrat. It's filthy across the country, and corruption is the problem. We are a corrupt country now.
Yes.
And how do we get that back? If you're a libertarian, tell your audience how you, Mr. Sharpe, would get rid of all the corruption and all the crap that's going on. Get rid of the corruption. We have to clean up the country. You, Larry Sharpe, tell them how you're going to do it.
All right. Thank you, Keith, for the call. I appreciate it. There's a lot to unpack there. I understand his passion, and his passion's valid. I totally get it. I think we do have to fix this problem, and corruption is a key part. I'm just trying to make this better and not punish the people who have been duped to come over here. That's my issue. They've been duped to come over here. I don't want to punish them. Leaders should be punished. Am I wrong? Is Keith right? All good. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Radio. Back with your calls and the chat, which is up. Thank you, Keith. You got my chat going. We'll take it all after the break.
For truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. For tonight, lots of clouds, breezy, chilly, a few flurries in the 20s. On Wednesday, we start dry in the morning, but snow will arrive midday, quickly accumulating a few inches in the afternoon. Briefly could be heavy, then it rapidly moves out towards the evening. Expect about 1 to 3 inches of snow, maybe a touch more near Lake Ontario. Some wraparound snow showers with a chilly wind on Thursday. I'm Rich Caniglia, WYSL.
Here's why smart, state-of-the-art Aaron Moore Zone heaters are the best way to stay warm and save on your utility bills. Hear this from Aaron Moore purchaser Andrea.
This winter, our furnace quit, so we turned on our Aaron Moore Comfort Deluxe infrared space heater and returned to our relaxing evening, all comfy cozy, for 2 days as our furnace was replaced. The Comfort Deluxe is light enough for easy transport up and down stairs with no assist needed from my husband. Without this compact powerhouse of a space heater, we would have needed hotel rooms. The Comfort Deluxe proved to be one of our smartest purchases, especially for the price, so thanks, Aaron Moore.
Remember, heat from Aaron Moore Infrared is healthier. There's no combustion to dry out your nose, sinuses, and skin. With new copper PTC technology, there are no bulbs to replace ever. Save when you mention the promo code WYSL. Buy direct and get lowest prices anywhere on the web when you call 800-707-8725 or visit air-more.com. That's air-more.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management located in Pittsford, New York. If you have more than $250,000 in savings and investments, and you've been wondering if your investments are really being handled properly, well, then it's time to at least get a second opinion.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America companies are separate entities.
WYSL.
Forget the fluff and silly stuff. Get the facts right now. Only on News 1040 AM.
St. Padre Pio Chapel, located at 141 Frank Domino Way in Gates, is a great place to visit for thought and reflection. The chapel is open daily from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and you can have a tour of the chapel on request. To arrange for a tour, please call Pia Pelozzi at 621-6703.
Your family is growing, and it's time for a new home. Why buy a used house with someone else's style when you can afford a new Faber home, built to suit your taste and your needs? Start fresh, build new with Faber. Faber Homes can customize your home to meet your wishes and dreams. Visit the Faber Homes website at faberhomes.com and find the plan of your dreams or a quick deliver home. Give Faber Homes a call today at 247-4800. Faber Homes, great homes, great price.
Hey, Rochester, you now have more at 4. I'm News 10 NBC's Nikki Rudd. Check out our newest newscast made just for you. Weekdays, News 10 NBC at 4 brings you more local news, more in-depth stories, more exclusive investigations, more breaking news as it's happening, and more First Alert weather with meteorologist Stacey Penchant. So we'll see you today, right after the Kelly Clarkson Show. Get more with News 10 NBC at 4.
These days, we're pinching pennies everywhere we can. On groceries, utilities, even insurance. But get into one car accident and your rates could rise as much as 40% just because of it. Suddenly, your affordable insurance isn't. Are you in good hands?
Call Allstate agent Vincenzo Scolo 381-3530 and see how much you can save. 2 locations, 835 Fairport Road in East Rochester and 919 Winton Road South in Rochester.
Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois.
Sharpe Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Radio. So happy that you are with me this afternoon. 585-346-3000 is the number. I want to cover a little bit of what Keith mentioned again. He did cover a lot, and I want to cover some of your chat. Thank you, Chief Keith, for calling. You always get my chat going whenever you call. So, yes, I get why he's angry. I do. And the point being, we're not fixing this. We're not going to build a wall. We're not going to fix anything because because big business and farmers, agriculture, hospitality, they want these workers. But his point is a valid one. What if enough Americans would be against this? The problem is if 50,000, to use his number, went out and protested, nobody cares because no one loses their seat. That's the problem. No one loses their seat. If I don't lose my power, I don't care what Keith says. I still get to keep my power. Let Keith yell. I don't care. But if all of a sudden it was 5 million and all of a sudden I go, wait a minute, I might lose my seat. I might lose my power. Now all of a sudden I care what Keith says. But until I am personally, in some way, shape, or form, as a person in power or as a leader, until I'm in trouble, I don't care what Keith says. I don't mean to say he's wrong. I'm saying I'm just not going to care. The people who are in power, the people who are in charge, they just want to keep their power. So I think that's where he goes to the idea of corruption. And I agree. Corruption is one of the hardest things to deal with. But there are two ways of changing corruption. Number one is changing the culture. That's number one. That's hard, but that's long lasting. It takes longer to do, but it is longer lasting. People who are my age or older for sure remember that a culture was different years ago. And we didn't get to this culture overnight. Sometimes it feels like it was overnight, but it wasn't. This took decades to get here. And again, if you just notice it, it feels like it's overnight. But if you look back and watch how things happened, this wasn't 5 minutes. This was decades until now where we are. And it might take time to go the opposite direction. So that's option one, changing culture. That's things like this radio show, other people talking, people, raising their kids differently. It's all those things, schooling, stuff like that. That's that kind of thing, which is important, but takes time. But the second part is systemic. As you change the system, as you give government and leaders less power and less money, they by default have less opportunity to be corrupt. By default, right? I bring up all the time. Here in New York State, if everything's run by the state, I just got to send 2 goons to Albany to, get $60 million. Fine. It's easy. But if it's decentralized and in 62 different counties, now I got to send like 100 goons, like 1 or 2 to every county. And each time they get a hit, it's only like $1 million. Nowhere near worth it. Not even close. I'm just not going to do it. It doesn't make financial sense. I can't afford 100 goons. And then every hit is only $1 million, where I could just send 2 goons and get 60 million. It's not worth it. At the federal, oh my God, so much more money at the federal. That's just New York State. Decentralizing and breaking the system up is going to make less corruption by default. On top of that, easier to find because there's less of it, less bureaucracy, less issues. And now you have one more piece. If you have the private sector actually competing against the government, which it doesn't now, there's either no competition or they're in bed. If they're actually competing, the private sector has a reason to investigate government. It doesn't now. They're in bed with the government, or there's no competition. There's no requirement to investigate government. But imagine if you're in real competition. You can take those billions of dollars that you've been using to bribe government and instead use it to investigate government. So now you get scareder. I mean, think about it. What if, I don't know, some heavy hitter like an Elon Musk or something would do an investigation against somebody and find something, and then others do the same thing? Now we start getting afraid because that affects the voters. And to Keith's point, the people who are listening to their talking heads say, this guy's a bad one. Let's get a new one. They start changing election law to have different people be able to run. They increase parties. I think that's how you fix it. So I just wanted to make sure I tried to answer your question, Keith. You had a lot there, and I'm glad you called. Thank you for that. So anyway, let me grab a couple of these if I could. I have so many of this. Grace says, I like when Keith calls. Keith, you got fans. There we go. Yes. She goes on to say, I don't agree with Keith, but he speaks for a lot of Americans. And I think that's an important piece, right? Very often when people call, I agree on point A, but not on point B, or a nuanced point C, or maybe point D. But without these conversations, how do we fix anything? And the thing that I think Grace is saying, I hope everyone understands that both Keith and I, our goal is the same goal: a fairer, better system for Americans. That is our goal. A better, fairer, safer system for Americans. That's what we both want. We may disagree on nuance, how to get there, but I think we want the same thing, which means we are good faith actors. And the more we have of that, the better, right? That's definitely better. So, all righty. Joel says, I live on the Canadian-American border, literally my backyard. People running the border behind my house daily. Huh. Is that an issue? Are we having a problem with that? Are they coming just to spend some money? Right? It's a good point. I should probably spend more time on that, and I haven't, Joel. Thank you for that. You just made me realize I've got to spend more time on that. I should be more up to speed on that, and I'm not. Shame on me for that. I will fix that. Thank you, Joel. Space Jason says, Keith is right. We've crossed the Rubicon. For those of you who don't know what that saying means, in ancient Rome, the Rubicon River, it was against Roman law for anyone to bring an army across the Rubicon. If you brought an army across that river, you were too close to Rome, and you were by default an enemy of the state. And the Roman army was now supposed to crush you. So once you cross Rubicon, you are by default a rebel. You are by default at war. So that's what that comes from. The ruling class wants to dictate how we live when it comes to climate cringe, but ignores our real level concerns. You have brought up a very important point, which I fell for. Joel has just shown me I've fallen for it. I am so worried about migrants coming from the South. I didn't think about it from the North, right? Because that's the big picture, right? Oh my God, here's the big thing. But it's a second piece of this. I think some people in New York ignored it. Well, that's a Texas problem. Well, that's a California problem, right? That's not my problem. That's a Texas problem. Let them handle it. Until all of a sudden, the truckloads start coming into New York City, and then up to Buffalo, and then into Rochester. So I think you're right on many levels. And I'll go one more step. This left-right paradigm. We just yell, well, if I'm a Democrat, it's you evil Republicans who hate migrants. If I'm a Republican, it's you evil Democrats who just want to bring on the migrants and hate Americans. Well, the problem is they're both in bed. And again, by percentage, Republicans are better than Democrats on this issue. That's true, better. But they're both bad. Neither one has stopped it. So, yes, thank you. I do appreciate that piece. I really do. So Grace goes on to say drugs are coming in from Canada too. Yeah, and that's something that I really haven't. Thank you, Joel. That's all I'll say. Yes. That libertarian lady says Republicans are socialist light. Well, I have to have a difference. I have to separate leadership from the average voter base. I have nothing against the average Republican voter. Nothing. I think the average Republican voter is trying to do what they think is best for what they believe is their country, state, or local. I think the average Republican voter is trying to do that. I think the average Republican leadership is terrible and is socialist light. I agree. I do. I think the leadership is bad. I think many of them, even the Keith's point, right? Looking at Mitch McConnell, I think most of them are bought and sold by big business and or lobbyists or whatever the case may be. And whatever. They don't care as long as they're in charge. Sadly, I think, and this goes to both sides in this case, I think the average Republican voter is just so scared of Democrats, they huddle and hold on to the Republicans, hoping they won't, they won't let them destroy the world. But Democrats feel the same way. Democrats feel like, oh, these evil Republicans, they hate everybody, they're going to kill everybody. I got to hold on to my Democrats, even though Democrats do nothing but hurt them anyway. You see it literally in our state. You see our state destroying itself, run by Democrats, and Democrats still. There are many states now to where they're so unhappy that the unaffiliated voters are becoming the largest chunk or already are the largest chunk. That's not true in New York. That's not true in New York. There are more registered Democrats than are registered everything else combined. I'm not making that up. That's facts. There's about, 2.5 million, almost 3 million registered Republicans, about 3.5 million registered, but unaffiliated, 6.5 million registered Democrats. So they are afraid. One thing I'll give Democrats, I will always give credit where credit is due. When it comes to making Democrats a favorite Republicans, well done. They have taken Trump and used him as the greatest boogeyman ever. Well done. That's what I will say. 100%. So yes. Space goes on to say, do you think these people are taking advantage of the asylum rules? And it's an abuse of our generosity. Yes, but it's our fault. At one point, we have to say no. We're going to change our rules and laws or fix them, one or the other. So yes, but it's not their fault. We made the system. We have to fix it. Am I wrong? 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York on Sharpe Way Radio. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Are you cold in your home? Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836. Don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone, call 270-5836. Wise Home Energy has helped thousands of people get millions in grants and rebates to make their homes much warmer. So don't be cold in your home. Pick up the phone, call Wise Home Energy at 270-5836 today.
Wise Home Energy is a participating contractor in the Home Performance with Energy Star program.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. And feel free to follow WYSL online. Lots of great shows the entire week. Lots of great stuff going on. I mean, my show's the cool show. I'm teasing. We have lots of cool shows. I'm totally teasing. Tuesday, 1 p.m. Follow us on WYSL or Sharpe Way. Just check us out on Twitter, Facebook, on the web. We're everywhere. Don't get caught without hearing these cool shows. Now, I want to grab something that Dave said, and then I want to cover something else that I did not finish. But Dave brings up a very valid point. He says, that's true about Republican politicians. They offer 50% socialism at 50% speed at 75% of the price. That's actually funny. But yeah, that's a problem. This is the problem that most people don't see. You will hear many people who are socialists. They will tell you, see, capitalism will always turn to socialism because it always fails. That's what they will say. And I get that. If we don't do capitalism right, they're correct. And right now we've allowed capitalism to turn into oligarchy, to turn into monopoly, corporatism, cronyism, all the bad isms, right, is what we have now. And if we do that, they're right. The people will force and scream for socialism. Here's the problem with socialism. As socialism fails, it becomes fascism. That's how that works. So I would like to not have socialism and not have fascism. I'd rather have a better capitalism. I think we should. Just my 2 cents. So I hope you guys would agree with me. But I want to go back to the piece I talked about creating the privatized system on the border. The reason why I don't want to do what Keith said, and I think I can get what Keith wants without doing what Keith said, is because I don't want to fall to violence, and I don't think we can do it without massive violence. Do I think if we did what Keith said, it could work? I think it could. I think there'd be massive amounts of violence to make that happen. I'd rather not go that route, right? I mean, violence does sometimes solve some issues. I just don't want to go there. I think if we go this route, it's going to work. And here's why I say it. Because right now, we have a large border patrol, but they're basically becoming babysitters. I don't want my border patrol to be babysitters. I want the people who actually want to come here to either seek asylum and or to work to go to the Ellis Islands. If they go there, then they will go through the process. They'll be vetted. All the things will happen there at those facilities, which we paid for by a private company. But Larry, why would a private company pay for that? Because the industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry that right now is in the black market. They're not getting that money. This is extra money for them. They would do it. I'm sure they would. What does that mean? But Larry, they're bad guys. Grace even says it. Grace says, drugs come across the border. She's not wrong. She's right. But now I have my border patrol no longer being babysitters. Because if you're a drug dealer full of drugs or a mule, you're not coming through Ellis Island. You're going to try to cross the border illegally. So now all the border agents that I'm now paying, the current system, they can focus all of their efforts on policing the border. They will be by magnitude more effective because now the only people who they'll be catching are the people who want to be illegal, not the people who want to be legal. The legal people will be going there. But Larry, what stops the Ellis Island from being mean or bad or cruel or putting kids in cages or whatever is the thing that you might hate? Here's what I said. 2 separate companies. The migrants will figure out if one company's being worse than the other. They'll go to the other company. It's what they'll do. They'll go, don't go to company A. They put our kids in cages. Go to these places. They don't do that. In fact, they might even decide to have 2 separate types. One is more for families. One is more for single workers. One is just for asylum. You could build 3 or 4 of them, and they could all make money in asylum. Why couldn't they? They still got to petition to the government, go through the, right now they're paying people, right? They're paying these coyotes hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to smuggle them across the border. Don't pay them. Just pay the company. I'm walking in. Here's my money. See if I have an asylum. If not, see here I can work. Do it that way. But I'll go even further than that. Once that begins to happen, right now in this country, we have at least, I mean, who knows the real number, minimum 10 million undocumented, or as Keith would say, illegal, migrants here in America. At least 10 million, maybe 15. But who knows? There's no way of counting. But we know it's at least 10 for sure. At least 10. We physically can't get them. We don't have the money, the dollars. We can't get them. It's impossible. But now all of a sudden they figure out they can just go to one of those Ellis Islands. You could be in America. What if you're an undocumented worker in Nebraska and you go, I'm tired of being undocumented. I don't want to feel like I'm illegal. I don't want Keith being mad at me. So I'm going to walk my butt or hitchhike my butt down to the Ellis Island in Texas, and I'm going to get legalized. I'm going to be good. That's going to happen. Who knows how many? That will happen. And when they come back to those communities, others will go, wait a minute, you went to the Ellis Island, you got a card now? I got an orange card. As long as I don't take any public assistance, I can work now. Now I can actually organize. I can join a union if I want to. I can tell my boss, give me more wages. Whoa. The businesses don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want migrants actually fighting for more wages, which makes everyone's wages higher. They don't want that. Yeah, well, now they can do that. Well, now when bad Pablo comes over and tries to beat up on good Pablo, well, good Pablo can't do anything because he's illegal. But what happens when he's legal and he can call the cops? Oh, Bad Pablo doesn't have power over him anymore, does he? Others will see that. And more will get legalized, more will become documented. And now when law enforcement wants to get the bad Pablo, good Pablo goes, there's bad Pablo, law enforcement, go get him. Now they can't do that because when they pick up bad Pablo, they also pick up good Pablo. So I don't want them picking up good Pablo. Just pick up bad Pablo. You will see the crime rate begin to go down. Wages will start to go up. This will be much better. And here's the best part. You can build more of them. As they become successful, you build more of them, which means now the government process will be easier. People will outsource it to the private sector, which means less taxes for all of us, higher wages, less taxes, safer environment. This plan fixes all of them. And you think, wow, Larry, you're a genius. No one else could ever think of that. I wish that were true. No, I've been talking about this plan for probably 6 years now. It's been on my website. I've talked about it on podcasts, interviews. They don't want to fix this. The problem is our leadership, not us. It's our leadership. Guys, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I hope you see how much I do care and how so much of the chat and the callers do also. I will see you all very soon.
I will rise.